Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Skin and Soul podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about drugstore or direct-to-consumer skincare versus quote-unquote professional skincare that you may only get from a licensed retailer. Okay, so many of you listening already know the differentiation between skincare that you can only get through a licensed retailer, so a licensed esthetician, versus skincare that is either drugstore or that sells direct to consumer. And so like online, let's say Paula's Choice or, Farmhouse Fresh or Image Skincare, which Image Skincare and Farmhouse Fresh actually both sell and retail through licensed estheticians, but they also sell direct to consumer, and that's kind of a whole nother thing. So a lot of the skincare brands that we use as professionals, they will only sell to us because, we're their loyal base, we're their ultimate clients, we're who, keep their business running. And so it is kind of it's very frowned upon in the aesthetic community when brands like Image Skincare and others are selling direct to consumer because it kind of undermines us. But besides the point, the biggest thing between what you would call drugstore, something that you can just pick up, and then what you can get through a professional skincare line that estheticians use, that you have to have a license to actually purchase. So it's the quality and the sourcing of the ingredients, the potency of the ingredients, the testing that's done, the research and time and effort that's put into the formulations. A lot of drugstore brands and, fast market companies. Anyways, companies that are just it's more about money for them. They're just, always coming out with new stuff. So for them, obviously, when you're coming out with new stuff all the time, you're developing it a lot faster. And so there isn't as rigorous testing done into the products. So yeah, you get just better quality, better results with most professional skincare. And then, of course, for professionals, they also have the back bar options that even are not sold retail, that you're not supposed to retail to your clients. So, with that being said, that it also comes with a price tag because of all those things. These companies do have to increase their prices, and then also, we have wholesale, and so with our clients, we increase that a bit so we can make money. That's our livelihood. And, we went to school, we earned this license, and so we're not just going to sell product for the same price that we bought it for. But anyways, so the price tag is going to be greater, but you're going to get better quality that comes with it. So with drugstore, there are some drugstore brands that I do approve of. So if you are like a skincare snob, and I mean that in the best way, so I much prefer professional skincare over drugstore because it's just better all around. But not everyone can afford a $400 full skincare regimen every 2 or 3 months. It can be expensive and not everyone can afford that. So I do like to educate myself on some drugstore brands where I can supplement if need be. When we're working with someone's skin, there are some things that you need to use this for the result that you're needing. And so usually if someone is working on a budget, I'll get the most important ones that they're really needing to achieve their result. And then I can recommend a few products that are a little more affordable for them that are drugstore brand. And so usually that would be with a cleanser or an SPF moisturizer. To me, those don't have to be professional if you're working with a budget. A cleanser, isn't absorbing into the skin. You're not really relying on any of the active ingredients in the cleansers. So I always tell my clients when they're wanting, or not when they're wanting, but where you need to splurge is usually with your targeted serums and your moisturizers, because those are where you're going to get your most active ingredients, and those are the products that you're really going to see your best result in. So we can only do so much if a client is not willing to invest in at least a couple products for their skincare. You're not going to get a result. That's just like if someone comes every 2 months for a facial, but then they're not doing any home care at all. It's just going to be an endless cycle with no result. So yeah, I do value my clients. I like to work with them. I care for them, and I do understand that it can be expensive. And so if they're not willing to invest, or if they're not able to put that money aside for their skincare, then I like to have those options. And so I also pose the question to some estheticians that are just completely against drugstore and never recommend any drugstore options when they need to at all. If a client can afford a full regimen that costs $300, what's your solution? Do you just let them go home and try and find some more affordable products on their own, because that's what they're going to end up doing? Or will you give them the best option out there that there is with your knowledge, with your expertise? And in my personal opinion, that's what I would rather do. I would rather give them the best option that's actually going to help to improve their skin as much as possible, instead of them just going to Walmart and grabbing something. I think that's going to create a level of respect, a level of understanding with your clients, and they'll stay loyal to you because you're still willing to help them through their situation. So yeah, if you're not willing to recommend any drugstore products at all when your clients can't afford a full regimen, you've got to think, they're just going to go and get something on their own too. And if you're not comfortable with that, that's fine. That's how you work. That's your methodology, is to just stick with your products or bust. I kind of get that, but then again, I kind of don't. I do understand it depends on the situation. Like if you have an acne client, it is very important when someone's dealing with a specific skin condition that they stick to a very specific regimen that to be successful. So when it's like that, or when, I guess more so just when it's general skincare, is when I'm more likely to work with the client's budget. If even then too, to be honest, if I do have an acne client, I am going, and they are a college student or something, and they're working with a very tight budget, I'm still going to write them out a regimen for some drugstore skincare or direct-to-consumer skincare, because I would rather do that than them go home and put toothpaste on their face. And you know what I mean? I'm here to help people out. That's my goal as an esthetician. Obviously, I want to be successful in my business, and I am very result-driven. And I know that my professional products are going to give the best results. But yeah, I care about the people that I work with. And if that's what I have to do, then that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, just kind of think about that. You might actually, it depends on the place that you're working at, how the economy is where you're working. Because I have worked in places before that were very the economy was better, and so I didn't get a lot of lower income clients, and so that's not something that I ever had to deal with. But I've worked all around. I've worked in Texas and Washington and in Colorado, and so very some different economies there, and so I've dealt with people from all different backgrounds, and so I think that's also helped me to not kind of be so snobbish about it. If you deal with people that are upper class, that's probably not something you've ever had to consider. And so that's okay. If that's not something that you deal with, then you don't have to consider, like, that's totally great. But yeah, I would just say be open and educate yourself on the whole spectrum of skincare. And that also goes to say that even if you are not open to working with people's budgets, or if you don't have to work with people's budgets, still educate yourself on the whole spectrum of skincare, because you are still going to get clients in that are writing these products down on their intake form. And it's just nice and beneficial to know what they're using at home already, because most likely if someone's coming to you and they're new, they're not going to be using a professional skincare brand. So yeah, that is my stance on direct-to-consumer or drugstore skincare compared to professional, is that yes, I understand professional is the best option, but sometimes depending on where you're at and who you're working with, not everyone can afford a full routine. So it is important to me to be able to be educated on some alternative options where we can fit those in. So if you did make it this far, thank you so much for listening, and hopefully, this enlightened you or just gave you another perspective to consider when you do see estheticians making comments about some direct-to-consumer or drugstore skincare not being that bad.